If you've ever tried reading the Bible cover to cover, chances are you hit a wall at Leviticus. Laws about sacrifices, skin diseases, and dietary rules are not exactly thrilling, right? Most people skip it, or they push through confused. But here's the thing, Leviticus is crucial to understanding God's holiness and the beauty of the gospel. And this book asks and answers one of the most important questions in all the Bible. How can a holy God dwell with sinful people? That's not just a theological question, that's a deeply personal one. And Leviticus doesn't just answer it, it invites us into the answer. Now, next time we'll identify the problem and the invitation as God calls from the tent. Leviticus 1:1 starts with this. The Lord called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting. That word called is an invitation. You see, this is happening right after the final event of Exodus, where God had filled the tabernacle with his glory, but Moses couldn't enter it. God was there, but his holiness created a barrier. Now he's calling to Moses from the tent. There's still a separation, and that's the problem. And the rest of Leviticus is all about closing that gap. Leviticus is God saying, here's how we can dwell together. And the takeaway is God wants to be with us. It's about relationship much more than rules. Next time we'll look at getting Egypt out of Israel. In the book of Exodus, Israel got out of Egypt. Leviticus is going to be all about getting Egypt out of Israel. God had already saved them. Now he was shaping them. Leviticus teaches a redeemed people how to walk with a holy God. It covers worship, sacrifice, purity, festivals, and morality. But we have to remember, it's not about legalism, it's about communion. God says in Leviticus 19:2, you shall be holy, for the Lord your God am holy. Holiness isn't a burden, it's a response to the God who dwells among us. Now, next time, we'll see the blueprint of Leviticus. Leviticus is incredibly structured, and the main thing we need to know is that it's built around the tabernacle, where God meets his people. Check this out. Chapters 1-7 will explore the offerings, which is about how to approach God. Chapters 8-10 will look at the priest, telling us who can approach God. Then chapters 11-15 will be all about purity, and that will reveal what keeps people from God. Then chapter 16 is the Day of Atonement, one of the most important chapters in the entire Bible. And this shows us the way back to God. And then chapter 17-27 shows us the Holiness Code, and it reveals how to live with God. And the whole book moves us from distance to nearness. And at the center, atonement. And that's no accident. That's the heart of everything. Next, we'll look at the blood that covers. The core theology of Leviticus is this: atonement. The Hebrew word is kafar, and it means to cover and to cleanse. Leviticus 17:11 says, the life of the flesh is in the blood to make atonement for your souls. So every sacrifice preached a message. A substitute takes your place. Our sin is covered. Our relationship restored. None of it was random. Every offering pointed to something greater, or rather, someone greater, which will be our next subject, Jesus in the shadows. Leviticus may not mention Jesus by name, but he's on every page. The burnt offering, that's Jesus' total surrender. The sin offering, that's Jesus bearing our guilt. The Day of Atonement, Jesus entering heaven with his own blood. The laws about clean and unclean, Jesus cleansing what no one else could. And the Holiness Code, that's Jesus living it perfectly and now forming his holiness in us. You see, Leviticus isn't a detour from the gospel. It's the foundation of it, the shadow that leads us to the cross. Next time we'll consider serious worship in a casual world. Leviticus reminds us God is not casual about sin, and neither should we be. We live in a culture that's casual about everything, even God. But Leviticus brings us back to reverence. There's a seriousness revealed as we consider God's holiness. And this teaches us how to worship, not just with songs, but with lives set apart. And it tells us there is a way to approach God, not through performance, but through the purity of a perfect sacrifice. Jesus did what we couldn't, and now with his help, we become more like him. Now, next time we'll explore medical miracles in the middle of the law. Leviticus has some of the earliest public health guidelines ever published, long before modern science. In chapters 13 through 15, it talks about quarantine, observing symptoms, and isolating mold. But they didn't know about germs, but God did. Washings, waiting periods, avoiding contaminated things. All of it kept them alive in the wilderness and far healthier than the surrounding peoples. Even the dietary laws in Leviticus 11. Many unclean animals in Leviticus 11 are ones we know now that carry parasites or disease. This wasn't just about ritual, it was about God protecting his people with wisdom far beyond Moses. And it's just one more proof that the Bible is more than ancient text. It's God-breathed. Next time we'll conclude our introduction to this tremendous book by thinking about God's pathway back to him. He wants us to come near, but we need to come the right way. Leviticus begins with God calling. He's calling from the tent, but we know the end of the story. Jesus tore the veil. He is our high priest. He is our sacrifice, and he is our access. So as we continue our deep dive, don't skip Leviticus. Step into it. Let it lead you closer to Jesus. Let its laws refine your understanding of grace. Let its holiness shape your worship. Because in Leviticus, we don't just meet ancient Israel, we meet the gospel. Next time we'll dig into verse 1 of chapter 1, when God calls from the tent.